Hi there. For today, we will be discussing an affidavit. So for today, we will be discussing what is an affidavit. So let's begin. An affidavit, by definition, is a sworn statement made in writing and is executed before a person who is authorized to administer oath, such as a notary public. Basically, an affidavit is a declaration of a statement or a fact. This statement or fact can be anything from the fact that happened before, during, or may happen. An example of which is most commonly is like an affidavit of loss. When you go to a lawyer, you ask them, sir, can I execute or can I have you prepare me an affidavit of loss? But the question is, what is an affidavit of loss? Generally speaking, what is an affidavit? So, as I mentioned, that affidavit is a declaration or statement. Basically, when you make an affidavit, this becomes a notice to the world and notice to the public. How so? Going back to my example of an affidavit of loss, if you go around telling people, hey, I lost my ATM card, you would have to go through the burden of having to inform people and explain to them the incident surrounding how you lost that item of yours. But once you prepare an affidavit of loss, that affidavit stating the fact of the loss of your item will speak for itself. Being a declaration, that affidavit is already noticed to the world and noticed to the public. This affidavit in itself can already stand on its own. You can bring this to any agency, any person, present it, and this document itself will already be explaining the situation without you needing to explain everything. So, an affidavit justifies itself to the point that we have a principle in law which we call presumption of regularity. And the presumption is that documents which are notarized are presumed regular, effective, and true, insofar as it is believed to be correct unless proven otherwise. So, it is the burden of the person that you presented that affidavit to dispute or refute or to prove otherwise that your affidavit is fake. So if you make an affidavit declaring and stating that you lost your ATM card and you give this to the bank requesting for a replacement of your ATM card, the bank has to believe your affidavit because the law recognizes that this notarized document is presumed valid and that you are telling the truth. Therefore, it is the duty, it is the obligation, and it is the burden of the bank to try to prove this otherwise. If they cannot, then the affidavit in itself stands on its own. Now next, we will discuss what are the parts of an affidavit. So when you start an affidavit, you have to first declare who you are. So you are the affiant. The person who prepares this affidavit is called an affiant. Sometimes, if you prepare an affidavit together with another person, that is called a joint affidavit executed by two or more persons, where both of you executed and prepared that affidavit. Of course, there is a presumption that everything that you put in that affidavit, all the words, are jointly stated by both of you, wherein the statements are believed to be said by both of you and they are a declaration made by both of you, not just by one or the other, but rather both of you declaring the statement that you've indicated in your affidavit. So again, the start is a declaration of who the person is or the affiant. You state the fact that you're married or single, what is your citizenship, your residency, and then finally, you are declaring that under oath, you are stating the following facts. So, after you declare who you are, Then comes the body of an affidavit. So, depending on what kind of affidavit you make, the body may depend. So, let's go back to our example of an affidavit of loss. As I mentioned, the first part in an affidavit of loss is after you've declared who you are, you state what is that ATM that you lost, and then who issued that item to you, who is the issuing body. Next, what happened or where do you usually keep that item, and then how did you lose that item. Next, you try to exert all diligent efforts to try to look for that item, and that at the end of the day, you could not find your items. You are preparing that affidavit for purposes that you are complying with the requirements needed by the agency or office requiring this affidavit for them to provide you and issue you a replacement of that item. So, we go back to the ATM card. You declare that the item you have is an ATM card duly issued to you by the bank. Which bank? Where is it located? Next, you mentioned that you usually keep your ATM card maybe in your bag, maybe in your wallet, maybe in your desk. You discuss the facts surrounding how you lost it. You have to specify the actual date and time when you thought you lost it, and what were the circumstances surrounding that incident that caused you to lose that item. Next, you mentioned you tried your best to exert all diligent efforts to try to look for that ATM card again. Next, you're stating the truthfulness of your declaration, because again, an affidavit has to be truthful. Next, you finally provide that this affidavit was made for the purpose that you are requesting that the agency or the bank who gave you the ATM card would give you a new replacement card. And that is basically the body of an affidavit of loss. So once you're done with that, on the bottom portion, you would have to sign your affidavit again in the presence of a notary public. So you have to make sure that you sign this in the presence of a notary public and you present your identification card. An affidavit of loss is just one of the many examples where a person can make an affidavit declaring any fact. It could be an affidavit stating that you declared that you had a car accident, that there was an error in your birth certificate, an error in the spelling. All of these facts are mere declarations, and again, it is not limited to one specific type of format. We all have our own different kind of format, but at the end of the day, the main essence is that you make this under oath, it becomes truthful, you notarize this and sign this before a notary public, and that once the affidavit is executed, this becomes a notice to the public and an announcement to the world that what you placed, the statement that you placed in your affidavit is true. And you need not announce this to the world, as this affidavit in itself will speak for itself. So, I hope you learned something today, especially in our short discussion on what is an affidavit. And of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. So until next time, see you in the next one. Peace.